Hello, Livestream Legends! Welcome to another episode, a special edition of Livestream Legends. Today we are tapping into how to thrive on multiple social media platforms. Whether you're a streamer or just an old school content creator, we are coming at you with the best strategies, systems, processes, and the mindset to approach multiple social media platforms at the same time. So let me know if you are here in the mix. I see Charlie Powers is already rocking and rolling. Michael is with us. Jackie Curley, always rocking with us as usual. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Ronan in the house, Teresa in the building. Drop a quick little comment if you're hanging with us here today. We got a special guest incoming for today's show, and we'd love to know who is here with us. We can't see unless you say something. So to all of you lurkers out there, drop a quick little comment like Chris Hughes just did. Glad to have you here, brother. Always a pleasure. And I see it filling up. Francisco, some fresh faces. The other thing we want to know here today, let us know where you're coming in from. Would love to see who is in the mix. We got a global audience here with the Restream channel on YouTube. We're live on LinkedIn. We're live on Twitch. We're live on Facebook. That's what we're talking about, this new level of media that we are about to jump in. So thank you, Jacob Schwer. Akinyele hopping in here from LinkedIn. Thank you guys all so much. And the last thing we want to hear from you before we get started is let us know your level of experience. We're gonna try and adjust our language and see what level of experience you have with streaming, with content creations, and in general, if you've explored multiple social media platforms. Let us know what you're most interested in today, and we will jump into it. So welcome to the party, Solti. Welcome to the party, Farudin, with us on Facebook. Thank you guys for joining. So let's go ahead and bring in our special guest of the day. She is known as the Career Bestie. She's expanding on multiple social media platforms. I discovered her on LinkedIn. Then when I hang out on YouTube, she starts popping up all the time. And then I started checking out TikTok and she's popping up over there. So ladies and gentlemen, I am excited and honored to bring you the Livestream legend, Jennifer Brick.
Hey, I can't believe I'm on the screen here. This is wild. I'm usually like in the chat taking notes. I'm super excited to be with you today.
Love it. Thank you for jumping onto the other side of this adventure. Selfishly excited to have you here for this one. For those of you that are in the chat with us today, this is an open conversation. Any questions, comments, anything that you want to include in this show, we would love to hear from you guys and make this as interactive as possible. But ultimately, I want to check in and explore this theme, this concept of multi-platform social media. So that's what we're going to be chatting about today, folks. I am going to be exploring as much and taking notes from my end now, so the tables have turned. But super honored to have you here, and everybody that's in the chat. If you have questions throughout the show, sneak them in as soon as you think of something, and then we'll try to get to everything either in the moment or at the end of the show. We'll have an open Q&A. But we have dropped the music. We are starting the real deal. So everybody that's here with us, thank you for joining the party. We're going to zero in on how to thrive on multiple social media platforms. And this is a big question, whether you're a streamer or just a traditional content creator or even just a lurker on social media, understanding the dynamics of multiple social platforms and how they interoperate is a bit overwhelming at first. And then the even more critical part is how to plug that into your life and or business in an effective way. So that's where I would love to start, is from your journey. How did this all start? Where did you start the social media adventures? And what were the primary pivot points that you hit as things evolved, eventually expanding into multiple platforms now that you seem to be thriving on and rocking and rolling? So
taking over the internet.
Let's hit it. Let's hit it.
Yeah. So, I mean, my first foray into social media marketing, like as me, my own business, started on Facebook and Instagram, and I absolutely hated it. I wasn't very good at it. I didn't really know what I was doing. And it just like, I got really frustrated early on because I felt like I was in a content treadmill. You always have to create because the decay rate on Facebook, the decay rate on Instagram is so low. But especially when you're trying to build a following, there's just not a lot of organic reach. You're not going to show up in front of a whole bunch of people, and people aren't necessarily looking for your content there. They're just trying to scroll their feed. So I thought about, okay, and I wanted a YouTube channel for like 10 years, but I was like really afraid to do it. I actually still hate being on camera. I do not like being on the side. I've gotten used to it. But it's still like, it's not a natural thing. Like I've never been the person who's like, take my picture. I love doing this. Like get me on the other side. I'm much happier. But so that held me up for a long time. Because I was like, I don't know. I don't want to be on camera. What would I do a channel about? But now I knew what I would do a channel about. So I was like, well, I want my content to be findable. I want it to be meaningful. And I like video because when you talk to me, you realize that I'm pretty sarcastic. I say things in kind of strange ways that just don't translate in text. Like if I can get sarcasm font, I would be set, but it doesn't exist yet. So,
I support this movement. I've been many awkward texts and messages with sarcasm included.
Yeah. Right? Like you can only abuse emojis so much before people are like, there's just something wrong with you and I don't understand. So video works good for me. So I was like, I want to do video. That's it. And one day I finally had enough. I was like, that's it. I'm starting my YouTube channel. I grabbed my phone. I think it was like a Galaxy phone at the time. Didn't have a microphone, didn't have a tripod, didn't have a light. But I was like, I'm just going to film videos and put them online because then it's done and I have a channel. So that's how it started. And I did it and it was scary, but I did it. And then I think like 13 of my friends and family subscribed and maybe liked a video. And I decided that YouTube was going to be my first focus. I was like, people are looking for the content that I make there. They're actually proactively searching for it on YouTube. So I can make it here. And so I took a course, like I enrolled in a program to actually figure out how YouTube worked, because YouTube, when you're a new YouTuber, they're not going to show your video to anyone. Like it's going nowhere. But YouTube has an advantage because it's also a search engine. So if you can figure out SEO and how to optimize and how to find competitive keywords and topics to target, you have a better likelihood of ranking in search. So as a new channel, most of your traffic is going to come through search because that's who YouTube can figure out who to show your content to, is the people literally looking for it. So I did that and I found a weird place on YouTube.
There's many of them.
So YouTube is interesting. And if anyone is thinking about doing YouTube, I invite you to consider this. Like, it feels like it is such an oversaturated platform. It's like, there's so many business coaches. There's so many career coaches. There's so many life coaches. There's so many this, that, the other thing. But there's all of these pockets. So you can say niche, whatever you want, but there's all sorts of needs that are not being addressed. So one of my first video to really take off on the platform, and it's still my top performer, I think it's like 500,000 views now, is a video called Coworkers Are Not Your Friends. And there was a few videos that were kind of not great quality. Like they were good content, but not filmed great. And I was like, I can do this video. I have a strong opinion. I can do it better. And so I did.
Yes.
So it's funny now because if you go and look at different career coaches, they're all making videos called Coworkers Are Not Your Friends because they see it working on my channel. So that's where you find that little pocket where no one else is. And that's also where I ended up talking a lot about toxic workplaces, both because it's a passion and something that I help people with, but also because there wasn't a ton of content on toxic workplaces on YouTube and how to actually navigate and recover and all of that stuff. So I really focused on that platform until November last year. And I was on LinkedIn and I was trying to use LinkedIn. I didn't know how LinkedIn worked though. I wasn't good at it. Like if you do a deep scroll, it's just kind of embarrassing. So in that regard, I'm very happy that LinkedIn kind of sends your content to a grave. But I was like, there's people there. Definitely people that I work with are on there. And I know, again, a lot of people that are in my general industry are very successful here. So I was like, I'm going to figure this out. So I came and then I ended up falling into like a 90-day video challenge. Seemed like a good idea. I had no bandwidth to do it, but I did it. And I figured out like kind of how the platform worked. And at about the same time, shortly after I started the 90-day video challenge, or maybe towards the end, I decided to try live streaming as well. So that's where like I found you and I was like, okay, I actually need to figure out how this thing works if I'm going to do it. And then I ended up with 2 live stream shows. So my own, which also went to my YouTube channel, and also Snark Squad, which is like just for fun, right? And then so those are like the main 2. So YouTube is still like my focus. Most of my time, attention, energy goes onto YouTube.
Sure.
LinkedIn is my side chick. She's probably always going to be my side chick because she's not always friendly to me. But but one of the things that I've been thinking a lot personally about lately is how these different platforms serve. So YouTube is a great place to go and get found by people who are looking for you, whereas LinkedIn is more stumble upon content. People are like exploring their newsfeed, things are appearing. And same thing on TikTok. Like most people aren't going onto TikTok looking for advice on their career, but if it comes up on the For You page, they're like, oh, okay, I'm interested, and they'll fall down the hole. So you have to think about like where the attention span is and how, like what sources of discovery there are. And then from there, how people connect with you on those different platforms.
That's the secret sauce here. I think because there's so many platforms to choose from. It's like digital chaos out there. And I see Kamal joining us on YouTube asking, what is this discussion about? So everybody that's just jumping in, hop in the comments. Let us know you're at least here hanging with us. But what we're chatting about today is how to thrive on multiple social media platforms. What I typically see from a lot of content creators is they either find one platform that works and just that's all they focus on. That's it. They just commit to that only. Or they have the opposite dilemma. They see like people like Gary Vee and all these hot shots on just everywhere. And then they just dilute their efforts to everywhere. And like, they technically exist on every platform, but like Teresa mentioned, maybe their only subscribers are their kids or their family members. So we all know that struggle. I think many of us that have been exploring this social media realm know that struggle. So in the theme or in the journey of discovering new platforms or getting started on one just in the first place, what are the most important factors or signals that we should be looking for or looking into as signs that this is the right platform or the right opportunity for us, rather than just keeping the wheels spinning on a new platform, but it's not really making any effective results from it. Do you have any, like a checklist or type of stuff that you're looking for that would be positive signals to explore this platform?
Yeah. So I think like first fundamentally ask yourself this question. Do I enjoy this platform? Because if you do not enjoy the platform and you're spending a ton of time there to create content, engage with other people's content, you're just gonna hate life. Don't do it. So like, but I hear this a lot, and like I know that there's like the big, I obviously do a lot of video. I talk about how well video works for me. But if I didn't get past my fear of video and I couldn't get comfortable on camera, those videos would not serve. So you have to figure out the format that works for you as well. So if you just can't do this, then being on video isn't the option. Now, maybe there's alternatives, like there's channels that do, B-roll with voiceovers and stuff. So like think about the actual like different formats and like, does this actually suit me? Then, and actually drawing from that, like what is the actual format? So like on LinkedIn, you have multiple formats available to you. So you have text, you have the carousels, you have video, you have live, and you have polls, obviously. But so you have all of these different options. So think about what you actually want to do. But also when I started my business, I was thinking about what's the actual payoff. So depending on where you are in your journey, you might need to have more immediate gratification in terms of ROI and what you put out, in which case I think LinkedIn is a really good platform, or TikTok can be a really good platform because someone sees it, they fall down the rabbit hole, they reach out to you, they book a call, whatever it is. They go and like acquire your product. Whereas on YouTube, it takes time to build up to get those people and those eyeballs onto your content. Like your first LinkedIn post can easily go viral. And I think it's much more likely to happen on LinkedIn or on TikTok than it is on a platform like YouTube or Instagram. I mean, it does still happen to people, but it's a different challenge. So think about, who, and also you have to consider where people are actually hanging out and looking for like your solutions, right? So are they going to stop to have the conversation in the place where you're putting the conversation? Like, is that what they want to be doing there? Like another thing for me on Instagram, and I know a lot of career coaches are very successful. I felt like my content was very interruptive there because most people, like my people, are going to Instagram to tune out, not to be reminded of their problems.
Yeah.
Like I want to be inspired, and like, why are you up here talking about toxic workplaces? So you have to like think about like, where is the mindset of the person who's consuming? And then I always think about like, what relationship can I actually build with the person there? So
amazing.
Is direct access? Is it that you're sitting and having this conversation? Live streams, like we get to have a real-time conversation. So it's a very different experience versus a pre-recorded video, which you're asynchronously responding to comments if you can. So all of these things go into consideration.
Amazing. So what I'm hearing from this, some critical factors to consider: the media format of each platform. We're discovering now that we are getting into these splintered social realms that there are certain formats that are ideal for certain platforms. In this case, searchable long form video or sort of medium form video does really well on YouTube. Quick stuff that you can watch in like 5 to 20 minutes. Specific topic you likely searched for, or the algorithm gods have served it to your favor. Whereas platforms like LinkedIn obviously have different format styles, and then a whole nother ball game when you start adding stuff in like TikTok. So the first thing we can do sounds like zeroing in on what format is going to be good for you. And then another piece that I've noticed being in the social realm since the MySpace days is there's these cycles. There's these rotations of how a social platform grows. And typically in most cases, there's the initial just overhype mode, like when Clubhouse came out or when TikTok came out, and everybody flocks to it. The content's very experimental. It hasn't quite figured out its lane yet. And then once they realize, oh my God, there's a lot of people here, these companies realize, you guys have to realize they're businesses. Like they have their own agenda, which is to monetize and make money. So what I've discovered is there's this Goldilocks zone of when a platform becomes popular, but before they're fully monetized. There's this sweet spot of organic reach and this kind of like glory era. I've seen it with Facebook, seen it with Instagram, seen it with Tumblr, seeing it with LinkedIn now. I think TikTok is next on the menu. So try to consider that factor more on the macro level as well. But I think that media format you mentioned, the searchability is huge. And I see a few quick questions that snuck in here. Marky B was asking about the closed captions. That's actually through Restream Studio, Mark. So that's what I am utilizing. That's what this brilliant show is actually running on right now. I utilize the hell out of it. So just wanted to sneak that one out of the way. Thank you, Mark. And anybody that is joining us, please at least jump in the comments. Just give a quick little hello. Let us know you're here. We can't see unless you say a little something. So we're here with Jennifer Brick, who has been rocking and rolling on YouTube. I consider if like YouTube subs like double points because it's so hard and so valuable to have YouTube subscribers. So anybody that has explored that journey before, it probably knows that they're difficult to come across. And she now expanded into LinkedIn and is also jumping into TikTok. So in this context of merging all of these worlds, I know I saw a few people asking about, can you post the same videos on YouTube, on Facebook that you can on Instagram, and kind of just do everything all at once? Or what is your, I guess a better way to approach it is, what type of systems or strategies or processes do you have for splitting what goes to this platform versus this one? There's got to be some type of method to the madness.
I mean, hopefully.
Or
I honestly, this is something that I'm getting better at, because for a very long time, what was happening on LinkedIn was just like, I literally wake up in the morning, I write a post or I create a video, and then it goes online. So it wasn't always married to my YouTube content other than on video launch days or live stream days, in which case it was aligned because I wanted to do the promo. But what I usually do, especially for like a pre-recorded video on YouTube, I, number one, would never post the full video onto LinkedIn. Number one, because most of my videos are over 10 minutes, so it would exceed. And number two, I feel like anything more than like 60 to 90 seconds on LinkedIn, it just like, it's beyond the attention span. People are not intending to see your content when they encounter you on the newsfeed. So if they actually stop to watch, make it consumable for them. You can do this. There's two different ways that I do this, and it depends on the video, it depends on the content, and it kind of depends on what happens when I'm filming it. So typically what I've been doing lately is I film the video, and at the very end of the video, I will film a separate summary clip for that video, so you know what it's going to be about, and then it encourages people to go and actually watch that video on YouTube. And I post it onto LinkedIn, and I am putting it on Instagram now, I admit it. So it happens. And then on TikTok, I pre-pandemic got onto TikTok, went viral a whole bunch, got a whole bunch of followers there. And then I ghosted the platform because it was very overwhelming. So I'm just starting to get back on there now. So I'm also putting into my workflow that I just do a really fast TikTok video on the topic, pulling out one piece. The other thing that I have done in the past, and I want to do more, I'm actually finally going to hire a video editor, is even just cutting up pieces. Because if there's something that's like really good, really juicy, like you don't need to watch this whole video if you don't want to, but there's this one thing that you need to know, pull out that piece and then advertise it on another platform. I've also taken videos and I've made it into carousels that you can swipe through, convert it into text posts. Like the content that you have should be content that's capitalized in every possible way, in my opinion, because it takes so much time to create it. Like I've spent all morning recording after spending 2 days, like just plotting what was happening in these videos. And I don't script my videos, they're just outlines. So it takes a huge amount of time. So you want to make sure that you're getting as much traction as possible. Plus, when you're sharing your best information, giving people like good perspective, like shifts, good value tips and things like that, you want to make sure that as many people as possible get it, and not to just keep it like kind of like, oh, but you have to go and watch this, because some people won't. But maybe when you do that to someone, that's going to entice them to go to another platform, because getting people to move between platforms is really difficult.
Oh, true. No, absolutely true. And you mentioned one of the most critical pieces of this equation, which is the repurposing, is one of my favorite discoveries in this content creation world, because the mileage you can get out of some of this content just is amplified exponentially if you are strategic about how to repurpose. So the systems and strategies that Jennifer just mentioned was approaching these platforms with clear intent. So the longer form stuff that's very searchable obviously belongs on YouTube. And in the cases where it makes sense to slice and dice into clips, that shorter form content is likely going to do better on LinkedIn or TikTok or whatnot. So in that realm, you briefly mentioned earlier your live streams and some shows that you have been developing under kind of this umbrella of everything you're doing. And I'm sure a bunch of brilliant people here are either currently streaming or considering live streaming in their own realms. So how does live streaming play into your strategy of content creation, of promotion, of kind of this belongs on this platform, this and that? What is your system or strategy behind integrating this fairly new-ish way of creating content and producing it? How do you plug that into your life and business?
Yeah. So when I started doing some live streams, I originally was just putting them onto LinkedIn, and I was promoting from YouTube because it felt kind of disjointed from my channel to have them. It just didn't necessarily always fit in with the content calendar and the conversations that were happening there. However, when I promoted it on YouTube, because I would still promote using my community tab, a lot of my YouTube people weren't on LinkedIn, don't use LinkedIn, and were like, well, can we just put them here too? So I decided to stream to both platforms. The way that I approached the live stream was that it was a good opportunity for me to begin to collaborate with other people and to bring other people in to fill areas of conversation that were not my strong points. So I had my friend Charlene come on to talk about burnout recovery. I had Brian come on and talk about mindfulness in terms of like career success, because he works with salespeople. I had a whole bunch of really awesome people come in. So it was a good opportunity to introduce new people to my audience that I knew would help them and answer different questions that they had for me that I wasn't qualified to answer. But I also, honestly, I saw it. I was new to live streaming, and I'll confess, I thought that live streaming would be a lot easier, because previous to live streaming, I was doing 2 produced videos a week. And I was like, this is so much, like the editing, this, that, like, I'm going to do a live stream. You just like show up.
Yeah.
How cute was that?
It works in some contexts. Some contexts it works.
I mean,
but
I
the
think it's
strategy
okay.
needs to be there.
Yeah, I think when you're just kind of playing around with it and just like, okay, I'm new and I'm learning, like, yeah, sure, just like put up a live stream and show up. But ultimately, when you have a live stream, it's because you want to have a live conversation with other people. You don't want to be talking to a camera by yourself, or just like sitting in a room talking to a friend without other people interacting, right? And then I didn't realize that you wanted to continue to drive traffic to it after. So like all of these things take a ton of time, like a ton of time. I would like a live stream is equal to a produced video in my consideration. The output video might be longer. Like my live streams were typically about an hour, and my like produced video is about 10 to 15 minutes. But there's so much that goes into it that, like, as a new live streamer, I wish someone had warned me. Where were you, Travis?
This is what I'm here for. That's what this show is for people to step into that role, and what you're mentioning actually leads into Jared dropped a question here on LinkedIn. So you guys, if you have questions throughout the show, or you want to ask about a specific strategy or platform, drop them in the comments. If I miss it, drop it in the comments again, and I will try to get through it. But Jared is mentioning, is this all repurposed content or original stuff for each platform? Because this is one of those things that I've seen, or I mean, honestly, I've built my entire business around this question, this concept. And for me, the sweet spot that I'm super grateful to have discovered is utilizing your live stream or your show as your primary pillar of content. This is your essentially your home base of content creation, of media, of education or entertainment, whatever direction you want to go. And then the repurposing can come from that source footage. And it's all in the edit for what type of repurposing and which platform you're going to, and formats, and the portrait formats and horizontal formats and square formats.
Oh, the formats.
That's where a lot of the extra mileage comes from. And that's where really this pitch of creating a media machine out of 1 hour a week has really came from, because you can utilize this show exactly as I'm going to do with this episode, and then grab a single clip from it and share it on LinkedIn. Now that's one post, and you can get 3, 5, 7, 10 clips from a solid episode. So when you were mentioning the version of live streaming being a longer format, when it's condensed down and you grab the good stuff out of there, it's now more applicable to bring to those other platforms. So that's been the strategy on my end, Jared. Brilliant question. And I think from what we heard from Jennifer, she has a similar approach, but focusing more on the original productions. Is that a correct assumption?
Yeah. I tend to, I know a lot of people that just like will take the flagship and like slice and dice it in different ways and put it everywhere. I'm probably really inefficient, and I should be learning a lot from what Travis is saying right now. But I do have a tendency to, so I do cross-pollinate content for sure. So there is a snippet of my YouTube video goes onto LinkedIn. My LinkedIn posts, I take it now and I put them onto Instagram. My TikTok posts, I'll bring them over onto LinkedIn. I'm looking at bringing them onto YouTube Shorts as well. So I do find opportunities and ways, because you do want to, again, like just be getting the most. I have found for my audiences that when I make the content suitable to the native app where I'm posting it, that's where it performs best. Like if I just took a TikTok and put it onto LinkedIn, like it would be weird. It has to have the complimentary text post. The 10-minute video plopped onto YouTube is not going to get watched. So there's, and similarly, like taking a LinkedIn video and putting it onto YouTube, I know would not perform well for me. So I do tend to make a lot of original content, especially for LinkedIn and YouTube, but it's mostly because I apparently don't like to have free time.
We are one. we are one. I know this struggle all too well. But no, these systems, these processes, the strategy, it's there. But as you alluded to, it does require a team or a whole army. In the case of people like Gary Vee and them, when people wonder how they're on these platforms posting 50 pieces of content a day, it's just irrational to even set your expectations into that category. So as you mentioned the solo creator struggle, are there any tools or resources that you utilize over and over? It could be an app, a software system, service of any kind that helps contain this chaos, if you don't have the resources or an entire team like some of these other people do.
Yeah. Well, and also just to give context, like right now I'm in process of hiring a video editor and someone to help me with social media post too. Like I still write everything, but to create things. The apps that I use most, I use Canva. I like always have about 20 different Canva tabs open because it's just so helpful. I don't know how we lived before Canva existed.
Right.
All of my video editing I do in Camtasia right now. It's just a tool that I learned back when I was like an e-learning developer.
Okay.
And so I'm comfortable with it. I hate working from my phone. So I know a lot of people like InShot. I've played around with it. It is easy to edit in if you want to do video. And then if I was doing InShot, I would then take it into Captioned. Usually if I just film something from my phone and upload it, which I do on LinkedIn, if I just want to share a thought and kind of do like a more informal vlog style piece of content, I just put it into Captioned. I don't even like, it has a watermark. I don't even pay for it, but it is a good tool and it does a good job. Because I think captioning everything is important. I am trying to get more formal, especially because I just mentioned, like, I'm trying to get people to help me with this. So Asana is going to be like my content calendar, like all of my deadlines, all of my tasks will be in there. So that's about to become like the actual like hub and source of all things.
Love it.
But I'm in the process of actually migrating to do that.
Amazing. And it looks like Kamal has hopped in here over on YouTube. Thanks for still hanging with us. Suggesting throwing Filmora in the mix. Might be another video software or video editing tool, I'm assuming. But I am so with you on Team Canva. I've spent an irrational number of hours just lost in Photoshop. Like, I don't know how I ended up here. So Canva has been a lifesaver for my world as well. That's a portion of what I'm trying to systemize and templatize, all those extra pieces of content creation. You guys can systemize and create templates. So we blew straight through the first 30 minutes of this show. Anybody that has specific questions, I see these sneaking in. We can jump into more of an open Q&A. I see one already here from Matthew Prime, a brilliant LinkedIn supporter, asking about the balance of our 9 to 5 and wanting to get this kind of go rogue with our content creation. And I think initially my head is I'm gonna channel my inner Gary V again. You gotta document, bro. You gotta document. It's not about creating. You gotta document your life, document the journey. That's what my suggestion would be, Matthew Prime. I know you do invest time in brilliant, high-level, original, creative concepts. But what you could do is when you're thinking of those or putting those together, share what you're doing, whether it's video editing or strategizing or just even brainstorming. Those pieces of the journey is what I've discovered people actually enjoy being a part of. And I've kind of just double dipped with this Livestream Legends show. I just share like what I want to learn and need to learn with people. And they're like, hey, I needed to know that too. And I'm like, hey, me too. So that's my advice for you, Matthew, is maybe think of it a little bit less of investing like into original creative concept idea and think about how you can just capture what you're already doing and then just share it in the right context. That would be mine, but I'll throw it to our legendary multi-platform content creator. Jenny, what do you say for Matthew to invest? What's an appropriate amount of time or energy or money to invest in this? Because content is a long game. It's unless you get super lucky with like a viral video like out the gates.
Totally.
It's quantity and time that really sends things to the next level.
Yeah. And I will shamelessly plug, Matthew also featured me in his post today. So everyone that's on LinkedIn, go and check it out. It is awesome. And I told him, so he does these like amazing like videos where he creates songs. And those should be like, even if you're not in a full-fledged multi-platform strategy, think about things that you can just put onto other platforms so that they live there. I also told, I don't know if Chris Hennessy is here, but he started live streaming and I'm like, put it onto YouTube too.
Yeah.
If you're on like what I would suggest, if you have limited time, limited resources, I like do what I did and focus on one and just like nail that one platform. It doesn't mean that you have to ghost everything else, but put in like a low amount of effort other than that one that you really want to get great at. And then obsess about little different details that really are going to make you stand out in that platform, that are going to help your people find you and will help your content reach as many people as possible. If you are a video creator or a live streamer, I would say if your like home is LinkedIn, still put those videos and send those live streams to YouTube. LinkedIn is not friendly in terms of calling back content. Like try to find a post from a month ago if you're a prolific LinkedIn user. It's so difficult, let alone 6 months. YouTube keeps everything findable. Like even like a couple weeks ago when I was watching Livestream Legends, like Travis mentioned a video and I went to his YouTube. I was on LinkedIn. I went to YouTube to find the link because I knew I would not find it in his profile easily. So also think about like, is there like focus on one, but is there like low barrier things that you can do to have some sort of presence on other platforms? And again, for me, like, especially when you have limited time, that content treadmill of like your post disappearing, like LinkedIn after 2 weeks, it doesn't exist. So like, how can you still find a way to keep those things like searchable that people can discover them, or even just that you can find them again to refer people to if they ask you. And for video, that is definitely YouTube.
Brilliant. No, that's brilliant context. And it leads into, I guess, a few other comments that snuck in here. Simon suggesting Clipchamp. I think that was back for the video software, if anybody's looking for resources in that realm. And Daniel dropped a super comment here. I don't even know what's going to happen when I click this thing. But Daniel's mentioning he's bringing up the critical piece of format per platform. So it looks like Daniel has tested the same message of content in different formats. And ultimately, he discovered on LinkedIn, when posting the same type of message, that videos actually got the lowest views. And one of the things to consider there, there's a lot of wild card factors there. And it looks like Jenny has something to say on this one. But I know the first little caveat that I'll get is thinking of the impact of what exactly a view is. And really what I've ultimately kind of came to the conclusion of is there's like the high surface level text and viral, like very simple absorption for 2 or 3 seconds. That stuff's going to get the most views, but have the least amount of impact. There's this middle level of more interactive stuff, high level conversations, the interactive like PDF sliders, carousels, those things are kind of mid impact. They get more views, they start better conversations, but not as much as that surface level viral stuff. And then the last piece of this that I've discovered is these live streams. In most cases, they get the least amount of literal views, but spending 1 hour with us on this live stream is as valuable or more valuable than scrolling past somebody's post a dozen times, in my opinion. So that's what I kind of think of in that equation, Daniel, is considering the level of impact in relation to those views might help reframe the value rather than just making reach be the only metric to follow.
Yeah. And then even from a surface level statistics point of view, one thing to keep in mind is that when you're posting onto LinkedIn, when you post a video, you are going to see views as the number of people who stopped and watched for more than 3 seconds. And that is going to be a fraction of the number of impressions that you get. So one thing that I love about LinkedIn Livestream is that while LinkedIn does not tell you impressions to views, like LinkedIn video data, like calling it what it is, it sucks. It's garbage. It's not very usable. But when you do a live stream, you do actually get the impressions. So you can actually expose the live stream post impressions to the number of views that it gets over that 24 hours to assume the number of people that will stop to watch it for at least 3 seconds. In my experience, it's usually about 20% of people for my posts will stop to watch the video for that 3 seconds for it to count as a view. But those impressions otherwise are not accessible. So do take into consideration that if 100 people watch the video, you're like, well, that didn't get as many views. Like I usually get 400 views on a text post. Actually, maybe 500 or 600 people saw that. So one thing to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that your video, like doing a straight translation doesn't work. You have to have like a very attention grabbing thing in the first 3 seconds in order to stop the scroll, because most people are not coming on LinkedIn to watch videos. It has to be worth their while. It absolutely must be captioned. More than 90% of LinkedIn users do not watch with sound. So if you do not have captions, don't even bother posting the video, in my perspective, disregarding even the fact that it's not accessible to people if it doesn't have captions. And then the third thing that I would like, another thing is exactly what Travis just said, is think about the relationships that you're building. For me, because I post predominantly videos, my videos perform much better. I can't write a text post. No one will interact. No one will see it. It's not what people look for me. When they see my video, they know that it's me. But also between long form content on YouTube that people do watch and LinkedIn is that most people that I actually speak to and most people who consider working with me already know me. I'm already their friend because they watch my video and they talk to me all the time. So you're building such a different relationship. And when you augment that with exactly what Travis said, like the hour that you spend here and the fact that we are having a live interaction and you have now stopped your day, stop what you're doing to hang with us for that long, we're getting to know each other much better than in any other way. And that for me is like live streams for me also have the lowest like viewership, both on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube. However, the quality of viewership is much, much different.
Amen. No, I've seen the exact same theme from not only my own stuff, but from all the people I digitally stalk online that I think are doing awesome things. So, brilliant way to phrase that. We are slowly running out of time, folks, but we appreciate every minute you're spending with us. So if you want to sneak in a question, I know we have some brilliant ones that came in here. I believe Greg, I don't know where the question is to bring it up, but he was asking what is the ratio between working on content versus what you would consider real work or your business type of stuff in that realm. What would you consider a healthy balance of what somebody could or should invest into content versus their high level business clients, etc.? How do we tackle that balance or that equation?
I think this is a hard one because it's entirely tied to what your objectives are and how you view yourself, where you're at in your business, what audience you want to build. So when the pandemic hit last year, I have 2 small children who were home from school, babysitter couldn't come, there was no childcare. I really couldn't work with clients anymore because I couldn't constantly juggle my calendar around because my husband has a corporate job. So he did not have the flexibility. So I decided, because it was a huge challenge. Like I was exhausted trying to keep all of these balls in the air. So, and my YouTube channel started to take off at that point. Like that was when I was accepted into the partner program. So I actually was getting monetized. I was going to make at least a little bit of money on YouTube. So I made the decision to just go into full stop. I'm a content creator. That is all I'm trying to be. Like I still work with some people one-on-one. During that time, I still had courses. I did not promote anything. I just created videos. So that was like when I was working, I was videos, engagement, reacting to comments, like all of that kind of thing for a substantial amount of time. When my kids went back to school, I shifted because I'm like, okay, now I actually can work with people. This is great.
Yes.
At the same time, I was starting to build on LinkedIn. So I was still prioritizing that. I still want to have a larger audience because I want to do things like have a speaking career and write books and all of this kind of things that require people.
Sure.
And I want to have massive impact. I'm not going to lie about that. Like it was very strategic for me. I didn't fall into having an audience. Every step that I've taken has been very deliberate, and don't let me tell you otherwise. So for me, creation still takes up a lot of my time. I am starting to look to get help because I am starting to like work with people again, launch programs again and all that kind of stuff for me. But for me, it's like a 50-50 split, quite honestly, because I also just really love creating. Like this is like sharing information and sharing things that can change people's lives and change people's careers is ultimately what I'm trying to do. So that aligns most with my mission. So I tend to overinvest. I know for other people that's way too much. I know for some people that's not enough. So it's really like ask yourself what you're trying to do and what feels right to you. Because the one thing that I'll put in, and Travis, you can probably speak to this as well, is content creation is a sinkhole. You can spend your entire life doing this and being everywhere. And that's not healthy. And I can tell you personally, like, I've been working for the last 2 months with Doug Lawson. He's like my LinkedIn / content coach, who is like, he is phenomenal. If you want to stand out on LinkedIn, be awesome. Like just start, at least follow him and like book a consult. I'll shamelessly plug him here.
Love it.
But we had a call yesterday and I'm like, I'm just exhausted because I have been doing so much content. And on LinkedIn, especially, it takes so much engagement. And when you have, like, I posted on Monday night a story, like I had a video that it wasn't a viral on TikTok. It was kind of an okay performer for me on TikTok, but it had 350 comments. So I spent my day responding to comments. So that's just one platform that I'm on. So like, also like know that you have to manage your energy and like know when, like set boundaries for yourself, because especially when you love doing it and you love having these conversations, it's easy to do it all the time. But then you end up like me where you're just exhausted and a little bit salty about it.
Oh man. So what I've noticed and seen is very similar. You need to understand your goals and what you want to get out of not only social media in general, but each specific platform. They are entirely different ecosystems. They work in entirely different ways. And that clarity is a must-have. I know myself included, I've used to just post because I was like, well, I'm sick of getting yelled at that I need to post on LinkedIn, so I'm going to go post on LinkedIn. I didn't have a clear strategy quite yet. So having that intention, that very specific intention about where you're spending your time and energy is going to pay massive dividends in the long run. We got another question here before we run out of time from the infamous LinkedIn user that always jumps in here. I don't see who exactly that was, but they're asking, is quantity better than quality? And what I've discovered, because I've lived in the perfectionist paralysis realm in many other contexts, is reframing this to the idea that quantity will bring you the quality over time. I think rather than focusing Miss LinkedIn user, focusing on quality out the gates, focus on consistency. What is the most feasible frequency that you can keep it rolling every single month or week, or if you're crazy, maybe every day. But that consistency is what ultimately brings the quality in the long run. That's what I've seen. If you overspend or overfocus on the quality side, you don't have that foundation or that structure for things to even really take off or really grow from there. So that's the initial impression I've got from my realm. How about you, Jennifer? Is quantity better than quality?
No, you know what? I'm totally stealing your answer because I agree with consistency. Okay. Because like I think like if I go back and I find like your first live stream, like I'm sure it has improved, right? If you want a real treat, go to my YouTube channel, go to like sort by oldest and see my first few videos. Like they are garbage. For context, I get about 10 messages a week asking who my video editor is. It's me.
Oh, yes. I've heard that a lot, of YouTubers suggesting to edit your own videos for a certain amount of time until you take that next stage.
I mean, editors require money if you're not monetized yet. And I do think it's good to know how to do it because you never know when you need to do it. But my first few were like, I mean, my first probably 100 are just terrible. Like, I didn't know how to do color correction. My first one I said like was filmed with no mic, no lighting. Like, it was just a phone. And I was not I knew how to edit videos I was not in. I did not know how to edit a video with a human appearing in it.
Sure.
So it takes time, like, and over time, and actually honestly, the biggest accelerator for me as an editor and in terms of the look and feel for my videos was the 90-day video challenge that I did on LinkedIn, because I was editing every single day.
Wow.
So I got to know, okay, what look and feel do I want? And so for me, like, again, consistency, and then pick one thing to focus on. So like, first, get really good at your audio, get that squared away. Like, I'm not at Travis's level. Like, I still have so much to learn, but having good, clean audio is really important, because people will not, especially on YouTube, they will not tolerate bad audio. They'll bounce. Then look at like, okay, what else am I going to do now? Like, and then find different things that are going to move the needle and like focus in on those. So it's not that you're creating every single day. Again, like the 90-day video challenge, it did help me, but that was really difficult to do. So I don't necessarily recommend it for everyone. But I think when you commit to posting on LinkedIn 3 days a week, or doing one YouTube video a week, or doing one live stream a week, just ask yourself, what can I improve this week? And then like, go and look back at the content that you've created and say like, okay, this could be better, so I'll try this next time. It's like that whole like 1% improvement concept really does add up.
Love it. Nope, I've seen it over and over. So I think that consistency piece is so critical. And then if you want motivation, do that with any creator at all. I did the same. I just noticed I had a post about it on LinkedIn. Joe Rogan, the king, the god of podcasting and content creation, his first episode is a mess, an absolute mess. He's live for about the first 10 minutes with his like nostrils up in the cam, like wondering how to turn off. There's these like snowflakes that are running down the screen because it was like around Christmas time. And they literally spend the first like 10 minutes figuring out how to use it. At that time, it was Ustream was the only option. And it just was like so inspiring to be like, this is our podcasting legend here, folks.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, and I know a lot of people, especially people that want to start creating more, they get so like tied up in like, oh, but it's not going to be good. It needs to be this. Like, no, it's always, no matter how good you think it is, you're going to look back and be like, oh my, like I remember posting that first video and being like, you know what? This isn't so bad. And now I'm like, oh, this is so embarrassing. And so like, the more that you create and the more that you show up, the better that you do get, as long as you're going back and paying attention.
Love it. We are quickly running out of time here. One quick one from Daniel. I know he dropped this a couple times. He's referencing the updates to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is now archiving posts and videos and documents, all of that stuff, as followable, searchable web pages. So Daniel, I do not have any immediate insights on this other than I anticipate it will work very similarly to how when you're Googling something, you happen to land on a YouTube video, or you happen to land on a Quora question, whatever the hell that site is. Yeah. I anticipate that's what they're going to sneak into. So there hasn't been enough time to immediately see the results, but I anticipate if you're smart about how you're tagging your content, titling your content, and then possibly the hashtags might be integrated into that equation, we'll probably start seeing results of that in the coming weeks and months. Brilliant question, Daniel. I think we're technically out of time, but I want to keep going. So until somebody kicks me off, we're going to keep it rolling. Sorry, Restream. I love you guys. Hopefully nobody's trying to jump on their channel. But let's sneak into a few quick questions that have jumped in here. Just to give you, I guess, more of a synopsis before we do sneak out of here. What is the most important things that we need to take away from this conversation? Whether it's mindset or strategy or systems, if there's just 1 to 3 things that people should remember or focus on, what would those things be?
Okay.
For either, it doesn't have to be YouTube specific. Obviously,
Yeah.
we all want to throw. If we could all have an awesome YouTube channel with a bunch of subs, we'd love to. But just thinking of multi-platform social in general, and this new era of everybody in a way is a creator, is a content creator, whether you consider yourself that as your part of your identity or not yet. This is going to be our new version of our resume and of our business card and everything. It's going to be 100%. Your LinkedIn profile, your YouTube videos, your book if you're a writer or something like that. What factors or take home bits should we walk away with, Jennifer?
Okay, so this might end up being a mild rant, just to pre-warn you.
Hit it. This is the beauty of live stream. Full screen in it.
Okay, so I know there's a lot of people that are watching on LinkedIn right now, and there's people watching on YouTube. And I think what happens on every single social media platform is that people look at the people that are doing well and they mimic their style. And they kind of say things the same way. Like my friend Jonathan Tesser, he's like, dear young professionals. And now like every career coach is like, dear young professionals, because they want to get the engagement, whether or not it's relevant, whether or not it's the actual post that they want to write. That's what they're doing. And it's just going after engagement. I think what's way more important, and like the reason why I can rant for this, is that when you're trying to be someone else on social media or in real life, which is, by the way, the same thing, when you're trying to be someone else, you are not being you. And that is like cheating the world of what you have to offer. So I think like show up as yourself, be who you are, like speak your truth, say the things that you want to say, do so unapologetically. Like, I mean, don't be a jerk unless that's really who you are. But like, I think one of the reasons why, like, I think what works for me is that on LinkedIn, I write how I talk. I had to add a filter on YouTube because I was driven so insane by the amount of people who were complaining about my vocal fry. I don't have a vocal fry. I use uptalk. I speak like a valley girl, but I'm not going to change it to make someone else happy. I'm going to show up exactly as I am. I'm going to say exactly the things that I like. I'm going to share my opinion with you. I'm going to share my expertise with you, and you're going to take it or you're going to leave it. That's it. Like, that's the only thing. And does that get you a massive audience or not? I don't know. Like, but who cares if you have 1 million followers when you're not necessarily resonating with people? And I think where a lot of people like who do rise doing those things are dealing with a lack of confidence and are dealing with imposter syndrome. Because think about the long-term impacts. When you're succeeding as someone else, it's fake. It feels fake when you get there. And that's never the position that you want to be in, where you feel like you have gained success, gained an audience, gained business because you are not being yourself. Be you and embrace that and love that, because when you do that, other people are going to show up that are your people. That's it.
Amen, folks. That is what it's all about. I would double down on everything that was just said there. So much of this it's just taking those first steps. And like most things, that's literally the most difficult point, is getting over that psychological threshold, whether it's writing or streaming or even design-based stuff. Getting over that psychological hurdle, that was my 2020. I got pushed into the pool last year, and I'm like, oh, this actually ain't that bad at all. But I hid, just cowering with no confidence, fear of judgment, all of that stuff. And then you jump out there, and there's, of course, the trolls that come out from under the bridge. Like, oh, look at that vocal fry. Like, you really have like no better things to do in your life than complain about somebody's vocal tendencies.
It's great for engagement, though. It is great. So, like, I mean, I I'm a little bit careful because I do get paranoid because you never know who you're poking. And like
Sure.
on YouTube, because I talk about emotionally charged topics, a lot of people are coming in with a lot of pain. So I try to like see who is acting out because they're hurting versus like the people that are acting out just because that's who they are. And we can approach them in different ways. Like I now like generally block people, and it's not because I'm bothered by it. Like, because honestly, I don't care for the most part, unless you catch me like on the right way on a bad day. But I think for me, it's like keeping my community safe. I don't want anyone to feel like if they're commenting or saying something that they're going to get attacked, because that's a real concern.
Nope, it is. I think anybody that's here with this journey, whether you've started or you're in the early stages of it, you have support troops. As you mentioned, you have this community that's been following you and sharing this journey with you on YouTube. We have it in our realm with so many of the brilliant people here. Anybody that wants to step into that light, step into that new version of yourself, the creative version of yourself, you have options, you have resources. I just dropped a link if you'd like to sign up or just join the Beast Club. That's our streamers, content creators, artists of all kinds. We'd love to have you to share the journey, share your creations, get feedback. That's what we've been doing in that realm. And as well as Miss Jennifer, we will. She's connected and tagged in the LinkedIn side, as well as just straight up Jennifer Brick on YouTube. Where else can the brilliant people that have shared their time with us hunt you down and start being a part of your journey?
So TikTok, it's TikTok/Jennifer Brick, or however it works there, at Jennifer Brick. That's me. I got a bunch of stuff. There's been some drama. It's kind of fun. So those are my main three. I do try to show up on Instagram now just because honestly, LinkedIn isn't always the friendliest to me. And it's a little bit more findable content there. So I do hang out there occasionally, and that's CC Jennifer Brick.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Everybody, please connect and hunt down Jennifer on all these platforms. That's the beauty of this, is our journey is so changes so dramatically, so quickly. I know my life a year ago has changed because of this streaming and content creation, all that stuff. So anybody that's curious, please take that step. You have support troops and people that want you to win. Thank you for joining Livestream Legends. We will catch you next week. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you. Bye, friend.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining. If you are curious about starting the journey, jump into the Beast Club. Join our Discord. We've got all kinds of action going. And if you want to start your streaming journey today, literally today, you can get started for free with Restream Studio, my go-to choice for shows exactly like this. Please sign up using the link in the description here, and we'll catch you next week on the Livestream Legends. Take care, folks.